All right, we're in the tier list. So if you don't know what Crops is, it's a game that I made. It's on Steam. You should go check it out. I'll link it in the description. But today we're gonna rank all of the crops in the game, and there are gonna be a few criteria, right? So like one of them is just how good I think the crop is, and the other is how fun I think the crop is. It's also gonna play a role. But it's gonna be my personal preference. I know that many people actually already made a tier list on the Discord, which I'm also gonna link below. You should go join. It's a great community. But this is gonna be my personal ranking of all the crops. So without further ado, let's start by getting the first crop into the tier list. This is the cilantro, and I think it's a very good crop. It's actually the newest crop in the game with the butternut squash, and it's a very, very good crop. Like I'm tempted to put him in A tier. It's like a very, very versatile crop because what it does, it just gives you a reroll, right? So it can go in almost any build, which I think is highly valuable. So I'm gonna put him in A tier. Also very good stats, like just a very solid 2 attack, 16 health, 3 tile crop. Gives you a reroll. This is very good. I'm gonna put him in A tier for now. Also, I will be ranking the crops within the tiers, so like putting stuff in front of and behind each other. The butternut squash right now is very good, and like it's probably an S tier crop actually. Like right now, it's very strong. It hasn't seen a lot of play in the last week or so because there was a bug where it didn't appear in the PvP ladder. But it doesn't, take away the fact that the butternut squash is pretty strong right now. It might need a nerf pretty soon, but as of now, I think it's an S tier crop. It buffs 3 tile crops if you don't know what it does. And it's just pretty strong right now. We have the aloe vera. Now the aloe vera is a pretty utility crop. Like it's pretty versatile crop. You use it in melee builds, and it's pretty decent. I don't think it's like the strongest crop in the game. It did see a lot of play back in the days. Right now it actually doesn't see that much play. Personally, I almost never use it. I think this is a C tier crop. There are crops that are less used than the aloe, but for now aloe is chilling in C tier. We got the apple, the good old apple. Now apple is a pretty all-around good crop. It's only 2 spaces. It's very easy to fit in, and it deals a good bunch of damage. Now the apple used to be synergizing with the leek. But now it is in the fruit build. The fruit build doesn't see a lot of play, but I do think that apple is what makes the fruit build somewhat useful. So I'm gonna put him in B tier for now. Apple is gonna be a B tier crop. I might change up some of these rankings as we go, but we'll see. I'm going to put apple in B tier. Then we have the avocado. Now, the avocado is an exotic crop. It's what creates the entire root build because it gets buffed up by the roots. Right now, the avocado is all right. I saw, I think it was the Bald Weeb who ran an avocado build with roots the other day, but other than that, I don't see a lot of avocado. It's pretty good in PvE, but this is a PvP ranking, so I think avocado, it's probably B or C tier right now. I think I'm gonna put him in B tier actually, because I do think it's better than the aloe. Is it better than the apple though? I feel like it actually is a little bit better than the apple. So I'm going to put him right there in front in the B tier. Then we have the bamboo. The good old bamboo. The bamboo has created a lot of controversies in the game throughout the days. But it is, as some of you might know, my favorite crop in the game. And therefore it deserves an S tier. and I'm gonna put him in the front because this is my favorite crop in the game. It enables so many extremely fun builds because of the way that he works, right? He gives attack speed to the nearest crop in combat, but it gives 25% attack speed, and that percentage is exponential, which means the more bamboos you have, the more extreme the attack speed gets, and you can create some wild builds with this bamboo crop here. So I'm gonna put him in S tier. Really love this guy. Then we have the banana. The banana is a fruit build crop. It used to be the banana is probably the crop that has gone through the most changes in the game, like throughout its history. It's been changed like 3 times, I think. It had like fast attacks in the very beginning, then it had charge. Now it's like a fruit buffer. So yeah, probably just 3 times it was changed, but it's a decent crop. I think the banana is as good as the apple right now. It's really the banana and the apple that carries the fruit build. So I'm gonna put him in the B tier with the apple. I think he's just slightly better than the apple, so I'm gonna put him right there. Not as good as the avocado right now. We've got the barley. Now the barley is one of the good crops in the grain build. I think it's up there in the grain build, like one of the best ones. But the question is how good the grain build is right now. I think actually barley is it's like I'm either like gonna put him in A tier or B tier, but I feel like he might just be the best B tier crop, like definitely better than the avocado. But is it A tier? I'm not quite sure if it is. I think for now we're just gonna put it in B tier, like in the very front. Might change my mind later, but let's see. We've got the blueberry. Now the blueberry was a pretty bad crop when it got released, and now it's a very, very strong crop. This crop is also one of the crops that might get nerfed a little bit soon. Not a lot, but just a little bit. It needs a slight nerf, I think, in its current state, but it's a very, very strong crop. I'm gonna put him in front in the A tier. It's better than the cilantro. I don't think it's S tier, but it's like almost S tier right now. We've got the broccoli. The broccoli is a very, very strong crop. It's like a very good leafy crop. It carries the leafy build along with the dragon fruit, I think. But it's also like, just like the blueberries, it's almost S tier, but I don't think it is. But I think it's like right behind the blueberry in A tier. I think it's like... The thing I like about the broccoli is like it can go in a lot of different builds. It's not even like bound to the leafy build. It can also go in a lot of different other builds because it's just a good standalone crop, right? It has triple shot, buff its damage, and it's just it's a carry in its own, right? On its own. We got the cabbage. The cabbage is the most iconic crop in crops, I think. It's in the logo, right? It's also a pretty good crop. It has been like the cabbage has seen a lot of play recently. It's seen a lot of play. Also, I just released a new skin for the cabbage for the April Fool's event. But I think cabbage is probably A tier. It's probably like just behind cilantro, I think. Cilantro is a little bit better, I think, because of the fact that you can use it in all builds. Like, I put cilantro in almost every single build because it's just a nice buffer to have, right? I don't really do that with the cabbage, but the cabbage is just a strong crop in the leafy build, which is why it's going to be behind here in the A tier. Then we've got the carrot. The carrot is a decent crop. It's a root right now. The root build doesn't see a lot of play. I don't really play roots myself, but I think carrot is chilling behind aloe vera in C tier. I don't think it's D tier. It's pretty decent. It's just a small tank for 2 spaces. You actually get quite a lot of value for this guy. So I'm gonna put him in C tier. Then we have the cauliflower. The cauliflower also went through a small change, or actually a pretty big. It was like a total rework, really. So instead of giving attack to a melee crop, it gave 4 health to any crop. in the planting phase. So this is probably the crop in the game that people disagree the most about. Some people think it's a very bad crop, and some people think it's a very good crop. Now, I personally believe that this is one of the best crops in the game. Now, the reason that I think that is because it is, if you take like total stats and divide it by fields, it is actually the most valuable crop in the game. Like, it's a little hard to put it like that, like to do that calculation, but it just has so much value for a one-tile crop. Also, you can give the health that it provides to like a chamomile, it gives it to the saplings that they spawn, and you can also give it to a red cap for massive amount of boost. I also put the cauliflower in almost every single build that I run, because you can you know, buff anything with it. Now, where is it? Like, it's probably not better than bamboo. Oh, well, it might actually, it is actually better than the bamboo, but it's not gonna take the bamboo's spot for me, simply because bamboo, dude, it's my little child here. It's not gonna take the spot from my favorite crop in the game, but it's probably the crop that I think it's almost, I think it's almost the best crop in the game, actually. But bamboo is my favorite crop in the game. So I'm gonna put him right there. We're gonna move on to cayenne. Now, cayenne is a pretty strong crop. It's in the spice build, and it is the best AoE crop in the game. I think this is gonna go in like, it's probably the best A tier crop in the game. I think it's like back like a month ago or something, it only had to touch another spice and then it would buff its damage up by 1, that was absolutely crazy, and then it would have definitely been an S tier crop, one of the best in the game. But right now it needs to touch 2 different spices, which just makes it a little bit more balanced, but it's still very good. So I'm gonna put him in A tier, in front of the blueberry. Then we have the chamomile, and chamomile is a pretty good crop, but it's not the best in the game. It's like, it's a very fun crop, and I think it's actually one of the best 1v1 crops in the game, because when you play a 1v1 game of crops, you're assured that the game will last 10 rounds, whereas in normal PvP, it will only last, well, it could last 10 rounds, but it could also only last 5 rounds. So the longer you can buff it up with like cauliflowers and bamboos and stuff like that, the more crazy and yeah, the better it will get. But you're not sure to get that crazy scaling in a normal game. I think it's probably B tier. It's probably like behind apple in B tier, I think. Maybe it's actually better than apple and banana. I think I'm gonna put him in the middle in B tier. Pretty good crop. Let's put him right there. Then we have the chanterelle. The chanterelle is a decent crop. It was very good when fungus just got released, because there was really nothing that could beat the fungus when they got released, and part of the reason was the chanterelle. But right now, ranged has become more dominant in the game, and chanterelle doesn't see that much play. I think chanterelle is... It's a little hard to say. I think chanterelle is probably C tier right now. I think he's behind the carrot. I don't think he's D tier, but I think he's behind carrot in C tier. Then we have cherry. Now, cherry is a very decent crop. It is one of the counters to ranged builds. I think cherry is like... It's just a little bit better than chamomile, I think, but it's like very much in the middle of all crops. It's good in some circumstances. You can you can put him in the loadout if you feel like it, and it's probably gonna be all right. It's probably gonna do decent, right? So this is just a crop that I would say it's pretty decent. It's a very fun crop because like the concept of it rolling towards the enemy is pretty fun. But I'm gonna put him in the middle in B tier here. Then we have corn. Now, corn is in the grain build, and it is definitely not as good as the barley. Actually, this is a pretty bad crop, I think. And I think most people agree that corn is pretty bad right now. This is one of the crops that might need a nerf. Or sorry, not a nerf, a buff soon. I'm gonna nerf the shit out of corn. No, I'm gonna. He needs a buff pretty soon because his stats are just pretty bad. But he's gonna chill in D tier for now. Then we have the Dragonfruit. I personally really like Dragonfruit. I also think the Dragonfruit is pretty strong. Now the question is it S tier strong? I definitely don't think that it is. It's probably like just like almost behind, all the way behind an A tier, but the fact that I think the Dragonfruit is very, very fun to play with is going to put him a little bit up. So maybe just above the blueberry here. Is it better than Cayenne? It's like a good question, right? I think Cayenne is probably a little bit better. I do think Dragonfruit is more fun to play with, but I'm going to put him right there in the A tier. Up towards the top in the A tier. Then we have eggplant. Eggplant is a root. It gets range from touching other roots. I think eggplant is a decent crop, but it's like not as decent as something like cherry and chamomile. So I think I'm gonna put him in the top in C tier, maybe even like behind aloe. Actually, it's pretty good. It only takes up 2 spaces, right? So. It's like one of those crops that I haven't played with for months, so I almost don't remember like how strong it is. So I'm probably just gonna put him right there, right behind the aloe vera. And then we have garlic. Now garlic is actually a crop that I personally think is very, very good, and it's pretty utility based. It's like it's just a good tank to put in there, right? You can say the same with cabbage. It's also like just a nice tank to have, but the garlic does it better, I think, at least in a non-leafy build. So in any non-leafy build, if you just need a tank, I would actually prefer garlic as the main tank, which is why I'm going to put him in the front in A tier. It's like almost S tier. I'm not going to lie. It's almost S tier. I feel like I want to put him... Now, let's just put him all the way to the top in A tier. It's like a very, very good crop because it just takes... it starts with immunity, right? So it just takes 3 seconds where your other stuff can just bam, 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 while it just soaks up all the damage. I think it's in the top in A tier. Let's leave it there. Then we have the Ghost Pepper. Ghost Pepper is a very nice crop. It was designed by Super Auto Gaming, and I think it's a very well designed crop. Actually, it's very nice. It's like the backbone of the spice build. It just moves through and destroys everything once it gets to half health. It's a pretty decent crop power wise. It's not an S tier crop, but it's probably not an A tier crop either. I would probably put it in like front B tier. I think this might be the best B tier crop, at least for now. Yeah, let's leave it there. Then we have the grapefruit. Now the grapefruit is a pretty good crop, right? It's the main tank in citrus builds. And in fact, the grapefruit along with the dragonfruit are my favorite crops in the game artwork wise. The grapefruit was drawn by Sword in the Duck, and I just really love this guy's artwork. I think it's a decent crop. It's like, I think he's probably gonna go all the way in the bottom in A tier. Actually, I feel like it might even be in the front in B tier. Actually, just a bit better. Oh god, these like, I think grapefruit and ghost pepper are exactly equal in power level. Like, they're both pretty good. In fact, I might actually argue that the ghost pepper is just a slight notch better, but it's very close between those two, which is why I'm gonna put him in like all the way in the front here with the ghost pepper in B tier. Then we have the grapes. The grapes are decent, but they don't really have a spot in the current meta. So they kind of suffer from that. I am working currently on making more move impair archetype for the game. But right now, Grapes, sadly, is gonna go down in D tier. I do think it is better than Corn, which is why I'm gonna put him in front in D tier. It's like one of the worst crops in the game, but I think Corn right now is just a slight tad worse. Then we have the jalapeno, and that is a pretty decent crop. It's in the spice build. Currently, the spice build is doing pretty good. I think the jalapeno is probably... it's like a pretty decent crop. I'd say it's probably in A tier. I think it's worse than cabbage, but I think it's better than the ghost pepper. It's just like slightly better than the ghost pepper. The ghost pepper is the tank of the build, and I think cayenne is definitely the best one. And then we have the jalapeno. It's gonna be all the way in the back here in A tier. Then we have the leek. The leek is it's a pretty good crop, right? It's just it's a decent crop. It's not the best crop in the game. It's not the worst crop in the game. It's like one of the most all-around, like well-rounded crops in the game. I think leek is a C tier crop, but it's probably in the front here, a little bit better than the aloe. It's just fodder for leafy bills, right? It just helps the dragonfruit get more projectiles. It helps the cabbage get more health. So it's an all right crop, but on its own, it's like, yeah. I'm going to put him in the front here in C tier. Then we have the lemon. The lemon is also a decent crop. Doesn't really... It's not the best crop in the game or the worst. It's like pretty decent. Really just like the leek here. I think it's a little bit better than the leek. It's probably B tier, actually. Is it better or worse than the apple? It's like as good as the apple, right? It's like... It's better at something else. But the apple and the banana is like a package themselves. So I'm going to put him in front of both of them or behind. Probably going to put him behind those two. I think he's all the way behind here in the B tier. Then we have lime. Now lime is a interesting crop. It's the only crop in the game currently that has piercing attacks, like projectiles that move through enemy units. It also has a little bit of knockback. And in duos, lime is absolutely bonkers because you can get lime with like bamboo spam and pineapples and unlimited range, and it will just annihilate anything. It's actually a very, very fun crop as well, which also weighs it up. Now, I think it's a very strong crop. It only fills out 2 spaces. But I don't think it's an S tier crop. I actually think it is just behind garlic. So a little bit better than the cayenne. But the cayenne is also very good. Actually, might be just behind the cayenne. But the dragonfruit is also extremely good. Oh god. Yeah, the A tier is starting to look extremely tough here to place a crop in. Because I think the lime is good. But is it... Like, even the broccoli, like, is it better? It's definitely better than the 3 crops here to the right of it. But I think it might be placed right there, actually. Yeah, I think this is where it's gonna go. Like, almost in the middle here in A tier is a pretty decent spot for it. Then we have licorice. Now, licorice is sadly a pretty terrible crop right now. Nobody really uses it. It is a very interesting crop design-wise, right? It gets more attack when damaging move-impaired targets. As I mentioned, this is an archetype that I'm currently working a little bit on to try to give some more love, because I think this would be a very, very interesting archetype to work with. But for now, licorice is a D tier. Sadly, it's even worse than the corn. And I'm going to put him as the worst crop in the game right now. So then we have the mangosteen. Oh, I love this guy. The mangosteen was the crop in the game that took me the longest to make of all crops. Because of the fact that it has to charm enemies and they have to and then they start attacking each other, and if a crop that spawns more guys when it dies was charmed, it's gonna spawn allied units instead, and all these interactions just took a lot of time to make. But I think it's a great crop. I think it's a very fun crop to experiment with in games. I use it when I want to have fun. It counters certain builds extremely much, like the pumpkin build, for example, like builds that rely on few but very strong guys. Also, it's good against spice when you can charm a ghost pepper. I think mangosteen is a B tier crop, and it's probably a little bit better than the avocado, honestly. But I don't think it's better than the barley. So I'm gonna put him in the middle, but a little bit to the left here in the B tier. Then we have Morel. Morel was recently changed. Morel was very, very bad, actually. Before it got changed, it was like probably a D tier crop. But now that it was changed, I think it's a C tier crop. It's still not very good, but it's better than it was before. It's probably worse than the Chanterelle, so I'm going to put him all the way in the back here in C tier. This guy needs more love, and I'm probably going to give it to him in the near future. Then we have Onion. Onion is one of the OG crops. It's one of the I think there was 16 crops when the game got released. Now there's like 50. But yeah, as one of the OG crops, and it's like, actually this is one of the crops that was never changed. I think I might have tweaked its health one time, but its attack and its ability and move speed and all that kind of stuff was never changed a single time, which makes it just like an OG crop, right? It's a decent crop. It's in the root build. It's also just a decent tank to have in any build, really. This is, it's like, I'm almost tempted to say it's like behind in the B tier, but I actually think it's more like in front in the C tier. I think it's a very decent crop, but it's actually, now that I think about it, it's not seeing very much play. So I'm going to put him in the front in C tier, just a little bit better than the leek, I think. Then we have the orange. The orange has always been very good. It's always been a very strong ranged option. It's also a crop that wins almost all 1v1s in like the first round, but not all of them, but many. I'm gonna put orange, like orange is almost S tier. I'm tempted to put orange like behind butternut, but I feel like he's probably, I'm almost gonna say in front in A tier, but it's like just a very good crop in general. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put him behind in S tier. Then we have the pineapple. Pineapple is a very strong crop in that it can go into any build in the game, and I think that is a very strong attribute to have, right? So if a crop can go in any build in the entire game, it's just a very good overall crop because you use it a lot, right? It's like the cilantro, which might be, we might give cilantro a little bit push to the left by the end, but we'll see. For now, I'm gonna put pineapple in S tier behind the orange. I think it's a great crop. It's very strong in any ranged build in the game, right? In a Dragonfruit build, in a citrus build, you use it to buff up the orange. You can buff up any ranged guy with it, and it's just gonna be great. Then we've got the Portobello. Now, the Portobello is the only thing that's good about the fungus build right now. If you get a Portobello with Revive and a bunch of Chanterelles, you can actually reach round 7, or sorry, you can get 7 wins. I actually also managed to get 10 wins at some point because I got like 3 or 4 Portobellos with Revive, which was absolutely crazy. I think Portobello, it's like, either it's in front in B tier or it's like all the way behind in A, but I don't think it's A tier. I'm gonna put him in front in B tier. Actually, let's put him behind Barley because he's probably chilling like right there or something. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for Portobello. Then we have the potato, the tater. The tater. Also one of the OG crops that was never changed except for a slight health adjustment at some point. Also, actually it was changed. It used to one-shot things. Now it deals 10 flat damage. Yeah, the one-shotting was problematic because I implemented PvP in the game, and then one-shotting suddenly became extremely overpowered. But in the beginning, crops only had PvE, so it was fairly balanced that it just chomped anything that it... Well, except for bosses. Anyway, Tater is nice. I'm probably going to put Tater in A tier. It's very versatile. Like, you can use it to snipe something if you give it agility. It just deals a good amount of damage. but I think it's all the way behind in A tier. Maybe it's even in B tier. It's a little hard to say, but I'm going to put him behind in A tier just because of the fact that I really like the tater and the design is nice. Just, it has no text. It's just a 10 damage crop that moves very slow. And I think there's some beautiful about that very plain design. So I'm going to put him all the way behind in A tier. Then we have the pumpkin. The pumpkin was changed. It was changed from unique crops to needing to have unique crop types when the crop types got introduced to the game, which is nice. It's a very unique crop, like the butternut squash, in that it promotes a very unique archetype, right? So the butternut squash is like you need 3 tile crops. With the pumpkin, you need unique crop types, and I think it's very fun to have those like weird archetypes in the game. It's actually very strong. So I think pumpkin is like, it's definitely like A tier. It's not S tier, I think, but it's like pretty far up in the A tier, I think. I think it's probably, pumpkin is, it's like in front of or behind the cayenne. I think it's behind the cayenne. Maybe it's even in front of the cayenne, actually. You know, now that I think about it, I feel like Dragonfruit needs more love because I just really like the Dragonfruit. So let's actually put the Dragonfruit even better than the pumpkin. But this is solely because the fact that I really like the Dragonfruit personally. It's one of the funniest crops to use in the game, I think. Let's move on to the quinoa. So the quinoa is a strong crop in the grain build. It's actually the best crop in the grain build. And if you get a quinoa with revive and a bunch of scarecrows, it's extremely bonkers. And for that reason, I'm actually going to put quinoa in the S tier. And I'm going to put him... Actually, I'm going to put him just in front of the pineapple. And in fact, I'm also going to put him in front of the orange. I think it is extremely strong to get quinoas with revive in a grain build. Even better than just, you know, an orange, which is just very, very strong in itself. So I think the quinoa is in the middle in S tier. Then we have red caps. Red caps is also a pretty good crop. But as I've mentioned, fungus is due to a buff and it is not doing very well currently. I think red caps, I think they're worse than the portobello because portobello with revive is just pretty strong. So I think red cap is probably in C tier. It's probably going to be just in front of the orange, the onion here. Then we've got rice. So in the Discord server, a little rice cult has started to form. People are loving it and people just think it's the best crop in the game. But the funsies aside, I think rice is a decent grain. It's much better than the corn because it actually deals 2 damage. It's like just up there with barley. I think it is maybe just a little tad worse than the barley. So I'm just gonna put him here, number 4 in the B tier. And then we've got the sapling and the spore guard. I'm not gonna comment too much on these. Let's just put them beside their parents here, the chamomile and the portobello. And then we have the starfruit. Starfruit is a very good crop, and it's like one of those crops that can just be a carry in any build. It doesn't rely on any specific synergies. It's a exotic crop that just is pretty good on its own. I think starfruit is A tier, and I think it has been A tier for its entire lifetime. Now the question is, how good of an A tier crop is it? I feel like it's definitely up there. I think it's better than the cayenne, just because you don't need any setup to actually get value from it. I think it's actually also better than the pumpkin. It's the same power level as Dragonfruit, I think, but I just like Dragonfruit a little bit more, so I'm just going to put him right behind Dragonfruit in A tier. Then we have the strawberry. Strawberry is pretty good. It's one of the few AoE options in crops. Good if the fungus build starts to take over, because they like to swarm the enemy, so AoE is good in that scenario. But right now AoE is not very good because fungus is pretty bad. So right now I think strawberry is C tier. I think it is just a slight bit better than leek and aloe. I think it is probably a little bit better than onion as well. Is it even better than the red cap? Actually, I think it is. So let's put him in all the way in the front in C tier. Then we have the tomato. Tomato is pretty good. I won a 1v1 game with like spamming tomatoes, which was very weird, but I think in PvP you can get a little bit of value out of it by having a revived tomato with agility. But other than that, it's not, you know, a very strong crop after the cauliflower got reworked. So I think it's a B tier crop. I think it is a little bit better than the fruits. I think it is worse than the chamomile, so it's probably going to go pretty far behind in the B tier here. Then we have the Venus flytrap. Just got nerfed a little bit a few weeks ago, got -1 health, but it's still a very good crop. It is almost an S tier crop, if not an S tier crop. It sees a lot of play, and I think most people would probably put it like somewhere behind in the S tier. Personally, I don't use it that much. Also, I think it's a pretty fun crop, but it's not as fun as many of the other crops to use. So I'm gonna put him probably right here, just behind the pumpkin. Then we have a walnut, and the walnut was probably the main tank in the game for many months, dude. But now we have a lot of different tank options, right? The cabbage has become a very good one, and we have garlic. I think walnut is probably a pretty decent B tier crop, probably just a little bit better than rice, probably also honestly a little bit better than the barley, but not as good as the grapefruit. I think I'm gonna put him right there. And then lastly we have the wheat. Wheat is a decent crop. Wheat is just it's a tank in the grain build, but really what makes the grain build really shine is the quinoa. I think wheat is pretty good filler in the grain. I'm gonna put him either in front in B or behind in A. It's like, I think it's a little bit better than the barley. It's probably in the B tier. I think it's a little bit better than walnut. I think it is just a slight tad worse than the grapefruit and the ghost pepper. And that makes up the tier list from Bocary, the developer himself. It feels a little weird to make a tier list like this, right? I mean, ideally I would want all crops to be in the same tier, because that would mean I had made perfect balancing for the game, and instead I'm making the tier list of, oh, this crop is so good and this sucks. But anyway, this does make up the tier list that I think right now. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.